Hello everyone. Today I'll take you on a tour of this 2022 Audi e-Tron and show you why it's a very nice, affordable electric SUV. It has good range, it's quite luxurious inside and it looks nice outside, and it's just a nice overall vehicle and I really like it. So let's go ahead and get started with the tour. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started with the infotainment system in the middle, and in fact, it's infotainment systems, plural, because there are two in here. The first one is the top one, and this is the main screen that you're going to use for most of your functions. And then there's also this bottom one for climate control. So this top one functions pretty much everything in the car. You have radio, media, phone, etc. And you can see I can move around the screens here. Tapping on radio obviously takes you to the radio. You could scroll around the different stations. Going to media, you can pick different media sources, such as Bluetooth, for example. You have navigation here. There you go. Map is very nice. In fact, it does use Google Maps as well. It even shows you a bunch of highlights here. For example, you can see right there. There is a Chevron gas station. So, very nice map. It's also very responsive as well. You can also connect phone apps here. So we can connect Apple CarPlay, Android Auto in here. And you also can control a bunch of vehicle settings in here as well, including settings and service. So you can see we can look at servicing with the car. Let's go ahead and go back home. You can also see that we have a bunch of other applications in here too. You can change the users. We can look at the messages. We can look at the calendar, and it's just a little bit of miscellaneous apps. One thing that people talk about that in this infotainment system is that you have to kind of press it in to register a feedback. You don't actually have to do that. So if you go to settings and you go to display and brightness, and then you go to MMI, in here you actually have an option called touchscreen feedback. And if you tap that, you can change if you want that kind of like feedback or if you don't. So if I turn it on, it's now, if I tap it, it doesn't work. I actually have to press it in for it to actually work. If I turn it off, there you go. Let me turn it off. There you go, it's gone. Now, I just need to tap it, and you can see if I tap it, it just works. So, I much prefer that you can just tap it for it to work rather than having to push it in. It's nice that Audi offers that option. So let's go ahead and go down to the lower infotainment system. So this is the lower screen. We have the climate control screen here. And here we have a bunch of different options, including heated seats. We can turn on and off the climate control, AC, etc. So let me go ahead and turn that on. And we can see that we have a lot of different options here. We have fan speed. We can change where the air is coming from. You can see we have a seat here to show which seat it is. You can also see the temperature as well. You can adjust the temperature. Rather than having to actually tap the button, you can also slide it like so. I really like that feature. It helps quite a bit because if you want to adjust the temperature quickly, you don't have to tap a bunch of times. You can also enable automatic climate control like so. And there's also a couple of other options up here. You can see you can look at the garage door opener. You can just press that button. That'll turn off the top screen, for example, for cleaning. And that's about it in the infotainment systems. I've got to say, very responsive infotainment system here. Very easy to use, very intuitive, and it's also very high resolution. Very impressed with Audi's technology. It's been very good. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the center stack in here. You can change our drive mode over here. We also have traction control off, the hazard lights, the defrosters, etc. All of that is in here. You also have the start-stop button and our cameras. And I'll get to all that in just a second. But let's go ahead and start off with the drive mode selector over here. We have a couple of buttons that allows us to select, and that'll go ahead and pop up in the center screen. You can see as I tap that, you can select a drive mode. You have off-road, you have all-road, you have efficiency, you have comfort, you have auto, and you can also go to dynamic, which is kind of like a race mode, and you can also go to individual drive mode, and you can edit that by tapping that button, and you can change the steering, the suspension, and the driving independently for your own specific drive mode, which is pretty cool. Also, another thing to know is that the ground on which the e-Tron is driving does change based on what drive mode you're in, which is really, really cool. I really like that idea. I'm gonna go ahead and change it to auto mode. There you go. And it's a very, very cool idea. I really like that you can just set in an auto mode and it'll decide which one's the best for you. So there you go. The drive mode selector is down there. You also have traction control off, the hazard lights, and the defrosters like I mentioned earlier. Let's go ahead and look at the cameras. So if you hit that, that takes you to the cameras in the center screen. And you can see over there, we have a camera showing an Audi Q7 right now. We also have a top-down 360-degree view camera. You also have this cool button called 3D. And if you tap that, that takes you to a 3D view of the car. You can see right now, I can move my hand and it'll show me a very cool kind of helicopter view of the Audi e-Tron. It is a really, really cool look. I love this. It is so helpful in parking, and it's making its way into more and more cars. Just a wonderful feature. You can also put the cameras off to the side like so. And you can also look at a couple other options. You can include automatic activation, camera, and you also have a graphic of the top-down 360 view if you don't want the camera. You can change the volume in the front and back and a bunch of other settings. But overall, my favorite part is still the 3D camera. Just a wonderful, wonderful camera system in here. Really, really nice. Let's go ahead and come on over here. We have a couple of stereo controls. And hitting this button will take you to driver assistance. So this will help you if you want to like have basic assistance or a lot of assistance. That button allows you to control that. Alright, so down here we have the gear shifter. And you might wonder, this is a very, very weirdly shaped gear shifter. That's because it is indeed a very, very odd shaped gear lever. It's wider than it is tall. It's not a normal gear lever, obviously. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to place your palm like this and then adjust the gear lever like that. You could use your index finger and your thumb and adjust the gear lever like so. I'm not going to adjust the gear lever right now, but that's how that works. You just adjust the gear lever by placing your palm and changing it accordingly. You can see, you do have the actual information there. You do have the electronic parking brake. Let's go ahead and head to the back over here. You can see over here, we have, let me move the key aside. We have a bit of storage, and underneath that is actually some cup holders. And we also do have a 12-volt outlet to stick any items in there. And if we head back, we also do have a center armrest. We have a fair amount of storage in there too. So the benefit of having that kind of weirdly shaped gear lever in here is that you do have more space to actually stick stuff in. You can see you have a lot of space in there, and you have a fairly sizable center armrest as well. So there are some advantages to having that oddly shaped gear lever, and I think it's a pretty good addition. Alright, so here's another cool feature. That would be the lights themselves. So on the top, you can see that we have a couple of lights, and there are no buttons really to turn on the lights. You also do have this button, but that'll turn on both at once. How do you turn them on individually? Well, you just tap them. It's pretty cool. There you go. You just tap, and you tap. Tap, 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 tap. There you go. Very, very nice look. I really like the way that you can turn on and off the lights with just a simple tap, rather than having those buttons. Kind of a neat touch. Alright, so next up, let's go ahead and talk about the digital cockpit in this car, which is Audi's digital gates cluster. So Audi was a pioneer of digital gates clusters, and that is very well implemented in the e-Tron. So the e-Tron has a few buttons to control it. You can see over here we have two arrow keys to switch the different views. There's a view button to change the layout, and there's this dial to change what you're looking at, and for example, like the zoom. So let's go ahead and look at all of these. So the arrow keys, I'm hitting them right now. You can see that's what changes what I'm looking at. You can see the keys not here right now, but you can also see that we have some driver assistance things, Bluetooth, we have the phone, and navigation. If I hit the view button, you can see the gauges go to the corner, and the map becomes this really, really cool full screen map. Using the dial allows me to zoom in and out. You can see that's what's happening right now. So that's the digital cockpit in here. Very, very nice gates cluster. It's very, very useful, and I really like it. So next up, I wanted to talk about the steering wheel in this car. Very, very nice looking steering wheel in here. Very, very, very nice here. You can see it's like this dual twin spoke design. And there's the Audi logo in the middle. There's the controls for the Gates cluster, and there's some other stereo and audio controls. So very nice steering wheel overall. I really like it. Alright, so next up, let's go ahead and talk about the back seat in the e-tron. And I have a good amount of room back here. You can see over here. Hopefully you guys can see it, but I have a good amount of leg room, and if you do the headroom test, there you go. There's a good amount of headroom back here too. So there's good room back here. There is this control pad right now. The car is off, so I can't show you what it does, but it's basically like climate controls for the back seat. You also do have air vents back here, and in the middle there's a center armrest. If I pull that down, there you go. You have a nice center armrest here. Push the button, little bit of storage, and you also have 2 cup holders as well. So overall, very nice, comfortable back seat. There's good room back here. The seats themselves are also very, very nice. Leather lined seats. Door panels look good, and just a very nice, comfortable experience back here. Another benefit is that there's no rear hump. You can see the middle seat has no hump, meaning that if I go to the middle, I'm able to sit back here quite comfortably. So that's another benefit of this car, that there's no middle hump. So overall, very nice back seat. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the cargo area back here. So under here, there's a button, and if you hit that button, you can see the cargo area opens up. In here, there's good space. You can see there's a lot of space back here. There is a sloping roof line, as you can see, so that might cut into a little bit of the space, but it's not too bad, and it's definitely not as bad as some other rival electric SUVs. So underneath this e-tron cargo mat, and if I open up the cargo floor, let me find where it is. There it is. You can see under there is a spare tire, and there's also a little bit of extra storage under there as well if you need to stick in some extra items. Over here, there's also a little bit of space to stick in some extra items there too, and there's also a cargo cover as well. Let's put that back. So decently sized cargo area, and it's quite nice back here. Alright, so another feature I wanted to talk about here is the door themselves. And the reason I want to talk about this is they actually look kind of normal, to be honest, but I want to talk about this is because there's like this kind of like light that comes underneath it. So if I open the door, you can see underneath there's actually this badge that says e-tron that kind of shines on the ground, which looks pretty cool. Kind of helps you guide your way to the car, I guess, but it's really just a cool kind of like lighting element. Alright, so next up I'm going to talk about exterior styling of the e-tron, and I really like the way the e-tron looks. It's kind of got like a flat kind of SUV look. In fact, right behind it, here's an Audi Q7 that looks a bit more tall than the similarly sized e-tron here, and you can see the e-tron's a bit more flat. Kind of has that electric SUV look. But overall, I really like the way the e-tron looks. I think it looks nice. It kind of combines that kind of fastback, sporty style alongside the SUV style that you expect from an SUV, and it looks really, really good back here. So here are the lighting elements of the Audi e-tron in front, and you can see that you have the daytime running lamp over there, and it's actually combined with the turn signal. You can see it actually switches between the turn signal and the daytime running lamp. Also, the turn signals kind of have like this curved kind of swoosh, which looks really cool, and there's also some side lights as well, which also look quite nice in the front. On the side here, you have turn signal just on the mirrors, which also look quite nice. And coming around back, you have a big light bar across the back. You can see a huge light bar spanning the width of the car with the Audi logo over there. You can see we have the turn signals, and by regulation, you can't just have the strip here because that's actually not in compliance with the government regulations. You actually have to have a larger light that shines up on the first flash. So there's this top part as well as the nice strip that comes on the bottom. It still looks really cool though, and overall the back end lighting also looks quite nice. So that's the lighting elements in the e-tron. Let's go ahead and talk about wheels in the e-tron. So coming around the side here, these are the e-tron wheels. You can see over here, nice looking wheels, as you can see. You have like these kind of dual 5-spoke that are angled. Looks really good. Nice tires as well. Just an overall nice looking wheel. Alright, and let's go ahead and look at the charge port. So to open this up, you just have to hit this button. And as you can see, it kind of uses the motor to open up. There's a light in there to help you see the charge port itself. And you also do have this bottom panel that switches open to plug in different types of chargers. So you can see you have the top part and the bottom part. And overall, a very kind of innovative charge door. And overall, it's a very nice look. As you can see, you also have some indicators on what to do as well. Hit the button and uses the motor to close the charger door right back up. Alright, so you might be wondering what's under the hood in the Audi e-Tron, and the answer is there isn't any cargo space under here. It's really just mechanical stuff. So if I push the hood latch, find it. Oh, there you go. And if I open it up, you can see there isn't any cargo space under here. You just have under this a bunch of electrical components. You can see there's a battery over there. So no cargo space in here, but I do think that the cargo area is quite sufficient, that you don't really need this. Next up, I did want to talk about the seats in here. Very nice seats, you can see. Full leather, very nice and comfortable here. This being a demo unit means it's a little bit worn out rather than brand new, but still very nice leather, very comfortable leather as well. Also, the back seats are also quite nice. You can see same leather as in the front, very, very comfortable as well. And overall, just nice seats and quality in here. And also, on the subject of quality, let's go ahead and talk about materials in here. Very, very nice materials. The steering wheel is nice and leather wrapped. The screens themselves are really nice. You also have wood across the whole dashboard, which looks really, really good as well. So overall, nice materials and quality in the interior. So let's go ahead and talk about the window sticker in this e-Tron, and it's not as expensive as you might think. It's actually quite affordable for what it offers. It's only a total of around $72,000, and as you can see over here, the regular price is $65,900, and you have a couple of option packages here, including like the cameras, like I mentioned. You have the exterior color, and the couple of other miscellaneous options and the destination charge, and that gives you to an MSRP of $72,000. So overall, you can see a very nice car. This car is also in high demand, so you don't really find these all that much, but this particular one, more affordable than you'd think. And alright, so as I walk around the outside of the car, let me just do a walk around tour. Let's go ahead and talk about range here. So this car offers about 222 miles of range in any trim that you buy, and this one's the budget model, the $65,000 trim that I mentioned in the window sticker. So as you can see, if you come around inside here, this particular model has around 173 miles of range on 173 miles on the trip odometer, and it comes with around 222 total miles of range. So it's very good range numbers for this car. It's not quite on the level of Tesla's, for example, that will still have more range, but it's still a good start, and you do get the additional benefit of all the luxurious features that this car offers, even if you're getting a slightly reduced range. Overall, however, it's still a very good range, and you have access to the Electrify America charging network. Overall, still good range, and it can take you to long distances. And so that's the 2023 Audi e-Tron. This car is a very, very nice car from Audi. It's fully electric, which offers good range, and it's very luxurious inside and out. Plus, it's not as expensive as you might think. So it's a win-win-win. This car is wonderfully designed, and it's just an excellent purchase.